Hi everybody and welcome back to 3am Thoughts. I'm Anique and this is chapter 11, Donor Eggs. This is the chapter about the questions that keep you up at night. Will I bond with them? What will they think when they find out? What if Marco leaves me? The questions went on. It's about discovering the mistake that flatlined my estrogen, about turning down the first donor and wondering if I'd ever get another chance. It's about Mount Etna erupting mid-flight and Italian COVID certificates causing airport drama. And it's about 14th of January 22, the 5th anniversary of our first date when everything changed. Let's talk about it. Chapter 10 ended with a diagnosis, premature ovarian failure. At the beginning, Dr. Wing said my estrogen was too high to be in menopause, but by August 21, my ovaries were stubbornly quiet. Month after month, nothing. I was trying earthing sheets, I had immunology tests, I was gratitude journaling, I was doing affirmations, I doubled supplements. Food stress hit its peak. And then there was the vaccination question. And then finally, premature ovarian failure diagnosis, even though I still had egg reserves. Just after I had my 43rd birthday, I discovered what stopped my IVF cycle the year before. But now it is time to move forward. For me, for Marco, for us. The next couple of weeks after the diagnosis were an emotional roller coaster. I was so confused. I'd been tracking my cervical mucus and my cervix, and they were changing as if I was cycling. I was getting overwhelmed with the change in direction, like the decision to go for donor eggs. I was still listening to Fearlessly Fertile, getting everything down on paper so I could process the questions, the worries, like everything that was going through my head. Would the bond between the baby and me be the same as if it was from my own egg? Like, what are they going to think when they find out they're not genetically mine? What if I don't bond with the baby and Marco leaves me? The list went on. The things that go through your head are endless. I know now I needn't have worried, but that doesn't invalidate the feelings that I had then. I started researching IVF here or abroad, and it wasn't just about the money, there were other considerations. Like in the UK, when the child turns 18, they have the right to find out who the donor was. Abroad, they don't. We didn't consider going abroad for long. I mean, no matter how uncomfortable or insecure I felt about my future baby finding out who the egg donor was, they had a right to know if they wanted. We approached a couple of UK fertility clinics. The annoying thing, we had to pay for the initial appointments before getting any real answers, before any IVF fees. And I needed to gather all my test results and scans. So I asked for the final blood results from the first UK fertility clinic. And that's when I saw it. My estrogen hit the floor after I had those progesterone tablets to force the withdrawal bleed. The next day I ordered a blood test and the results were even worse. A couple of months later, with the chosen clinic, we had another blood test. It was the same. My estrogen had flatlined. It was game over. My mistake? I went to a fertility clinic expecting them to have the answers to kickstart my cycle. They're experts in getting you pregnant. I was told by doctors, and it also came up in research, that forcing a bleed like that wasn't the answer. If I'd have gone to a female health clinic when I couldn't get doctors to listen, things might have gone another way. They might not have, I'll never know. But what I do know now is that I love where I am now. One clinic we approached was the same one that cancelled the treatment after giving me the progesterone tablets. I don't know why, I know. And during the initial consultation, I asked about estrogen therapy. The consultant shot me down, wouldn't even discuss it. Nothing. We decided to go to Sicily for Christmas. So we got the COVID vaccine so we could fly. And I wanted it done before the IVF. Now I didn't have to worry about it upsetting my own fertility. I wanted to protect myself and the baby when it happened. The end of my fertility optimization was like a release. I was no longer about protecting my own fertility. Now it was protecting myself so I could protect my future pregnancy. I mean, I knew I had a beautifully healthy reproductive system. Finally, we chose the clinic. All the form filling, blood and sperm tests all had to be repeated because they were more than 12 months old. We had a counselling session and the counsellor asked questions to make sure that we, or I, was okay with it. And she spoke about support groups, talking about where they came from an early age. So you don't have to sit down and give them the talk. They simply grow up knowing. Because of COVID, the egg banks were depleted. And luckily we wanted fresh eggs anyway. We were second in the queue. I was still looking into everything. Embodiment coaching, somatic therapy, cranial sacral, egg grafting to reactivate dormant eggs. I did try acupuncture with laser therapy near Harley Street in London. Had the first of 4 treatments on the 21st of October. I also came across Radiant Wonder. They sell a similar medication to what I'd been taking with Dr. Wing. This and the laser therapy were the last things I tried. It was my last little way of not quite letting go yet. And along with gratitude journaling and affirmations, I was visualizing. And I was sure I'd be pregnant by Sicily at Christmas. You know, do you remember me telling you positivity was never my problem? But this time was different. When the time came, I was ready to let go. We flew to Sicily mid-December. COVID tests before and after cost more than the flights. It was ridiculous. We needed proof of vaccination, tests within 48 hours of arrival, one on arrival in Sicily, one before returning to the UK, one when we got back into the UK, plus locator forms. £260 in total. And they were the same as home testing kits, but with a fit to fly certificate. So careful planning had to ensue. First, the series of vaccines before leaving, then obviously timing the COVID tests, Marco's family presents I organised. The only thing I didn't plan for, Mount Etna erupting while we were in the air and we got diverted to Palermo. There's a signposting to the testing centre. Palermo was non-existent. It was a magical mystery tour. And there was a huge queue, but for Italy, it was fairly well organised. And we finally, after hours, arrived for our Italian family Christmas. I wasn't pregnant, but I already knew it. I'd let go. While we were away, we got our first notice of a potential donor. My breath caught in my chest. We were sent the profile, but it wasn't quite right. It was a little bit odd turning it down. It made me anxious. I was impatient. I mean, how long would we need to wait for the next one? Could I wait? I wanted someone with similar characteristics, but what if the next one wasn't suitable either? My head sometimes, it just wouldn't stop. We had our COVID test to return the day before. At the airport, when we presented all the paperwork to board the plane, we were turned away because the fit to fly certificate was in Italian. We were in Italy. The people who needed to understand were Italian. Why did they want English? Risultati negativa. It's pretty easy to translate. Not hard. Someone behind us in the queue had the same issue the day before, and they were forced to miss their flight. Luckily, Marco phoned the clinic and got them to email the translation. But it came down to the wire. It was like something from a movie. We literally got the translation just in time to board before they closed the doors. January the 14th, 22, our 5th anniversary of our first date, we were offered a donor that was spot on. We accepted the next day. We found our donor on the anniversary of our first date, like it was meant to be. In the next chapter, we'll talk about preparing for the fertility cycle, or the IVF cycle. The fun we had getting ready, and then the reality of working with the fertility clinic. We'll talk about trying to adjust medication for my IBD and the argument with the nurse to get her to listen. About realizing what IVF cycle really is, about the catalogue of errors and misinformation. We'll talk about the Yabu sucks moment, and finally the pregnancy test. Positive or negative? If you're facing the donor egg question right now, about bonding, about what they'll think, about whether your partner will stay, all those feelings are valid. They're the hard questions we need to work through. I can tell you now, it worked for me, and I love where I am now. I wouldn't change my journey now. But I won't minimize what you're feeling in this moment, because it's hard. It's devastating. Your voice deserves to be heard. Always. Hit subscribe for the next chapter. Like and comment if this resonates with you. And know the questions are endless, but you're not alone in them. Take care, and I'll see you in the next chapter.